beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I would absolutely 100,000% love if you would consider subscribing and joining the family. Alright, here we go. So today I'm going to be doing a video that honestly has been on my to-do list or video ideas list for a while, and I never quite got to it. I think partly because I didn't have the time. I've been doing a lot of like new releases, first impressions reviews lately, so I didn't really have the time to fit it in. But the other reason too is that I feel like I'm a little bit ashamed. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my eyeshadow basket of shame. I'm just going to put all my shame out there for the whole world. Okay, so basically, the eyeshadow basket of shame is something that I saw Amy Loves Makeup do, honestly, I want to say a couple years back, where she basically just shows all of the eyeshadow palettes she has in her collection that she has not used. And I wanted to do that to show you guys, you know, the palettes that I have that I haven't used, because one of my goals for 2022 is to use every single eyeshadow palette in my collection. And at the rate in which I am bringing in palettes, it doesn't make sense because I don't bring in palettes. I bring in more palettes than I actually could use at a reasonable like period of time. So at a point my eyeshadow basket was going down, and then last month, March, basically derailed everything, and I purchased so many new eyeshadow palettes, like way too many eyeshadow palettes. So now I have this huge surplus and it's time for me to reel things back again. So, you know, I'm just going to show you guys what I have. Don't judge me. I'm ashamed enough already. And it still remains my goal to go through all of these palettes. We gonna get there. We gonna have to figure it out. Alright. Before we dive in, on my eyes, I am wearing the new Pat McGrath Bridgerton palette. There should be a first impressions video up for this one. It actually came yesterday, so I had to get it on my eyes ASAP. You all know I love me some Patricia. So I was able to cross that off in terms of my basket of shame. But let me show you guys the basket. So here is my basket of shame. These are a majority of the palettes that I have in my collection that I have not used. And I say a majority because this video will not include any of my Tom Ford quads or my Charlotte Tilbury quads that I haven't used, because that's a whole other video. And I just don't think I have the time to fit that in right now. In addition to the basket, I have some overflow palettes here that just didn't fit in the basket. I just ran out of room, quite frankly. So I have the basket and I have these palettes here that I'm basically going to show you all everything. Shit! So some of the palettes in here are palettes that I recently picked up. Some of these have been sitting in this basket for quite some time. So we're just going to dive in. I'll show you guys the color story and then we'll go from there. So first up is a palette that I actually received on accident. I purchased a couple of palettes from Beauty Bay and they accidentally sent me this one for free. I did not pay for this and they just sent it to me. I might actually just put this in a giveaway. I haven't fully decided yet. It is a stunning green brown eyeshadow palette. It is huge, absolutely huge. And the color story is really, really beautiful. The reason why I'm iffy about this one is because most of the shades in this palette are dupeable, or the exact same, to be honest, as some of the green brown shades in the Wilderness palette from Beauty Bay. So because I have some of these shades already, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to me to keep this one. I'm still thinking about it, but it is like, and on the website it says, it does say that these this line is inspired by the Wilderness palette. So it just doesn't, in my mind, seem like it makes sense to keep both. The next thing in the basket is this Mrs. Claus The Lit List eyeshadow palette. I picked this up at Ulta at, I believe, like 75% off. It is a huge eyeshadow palette. This was obviously their Christmas release, which tells you how long it's been in my collection. And it has some really, really pretty shades. The BH Cosmetics formula is quite nice. It's not the best that's out there, but it's quite nice for the price. And it does have 2 pressed glitters in this palette, which I absolutely hate that there are pressed glitters in here. But I'm inclined to hold on to this one because of the fact that BH, which was bought over by Makeup Revolution, we don't know what's going to happen with the formula. So if the formula stays the same, great, but you know, we really don't know what's going to happen. Next, I picked up the Jamrock palette from Playing in Makeup by Yolando. This has been on my wish list for a while, and she recently did a 50% off sale on her website. So at 50% off, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get it. So this is the outer packaging. And then when you open it up, you get this really stunning, absolutely stunning, colorful story. Like, this is so beautiful. And I've heard a lot of people rave about this palette. You know, Becky is like an infamous shade, so I really, really want to play in it. I know a lot of people have suggested that this is a really nice fall color story because it is a bit on the grungy side, but I do think that some of these really bright shades would make this perfect for spring and summertime. So I'm looking forward to playing in this, and this was on my Black Friday wish list from 2021, so I'm really happy that I finally added it to my collection. While I was picking up that Playing in Makeup by Yolando palette, I decided to also go ahead and pick up their pastel palette. This was at the time when Natasha Dena came out with her pastel palette, which, to be quite frank, I don't think was geared towards deeper complexions. And because Playing in Makeup by Yolando is a Black-owned brand, I felt like I had a better chance of getting pastels that worked for deeper complexions from this brand. So this is the pastel palette from Playing in Makeup by Yolando. You can already see that the shades in here definitely have a lot more vibrancy to them, which makes me think that these pastel shades will show up on me. I will be able to see the pigment. It's not gonna look super ashy. I mean, time will tell. I'll have to try this out and let y'all know if this is Black girl friendly pastels, but I have really, really high hopes for this one. Next, I have two Natasha Dena palettes. You've probably seen these already because I picked these up during the Black Friday sale. These are Natasha's largest and most expensive palettes. These retail for $200+ each. However, every Black Friday so far, I've seen her put these as buy one, get one free. So the first one here is the green brown palette. These are the shades in this palette. I will be very, very honest. The camera and pictures don't do this palette justice. This is so much more stunning in person. I love green eyeshadow. I love brown eyeshadow. Green and brown together are perfect. So I think that this is the perfect combination palette. Some of these shades might be a little bit repetitive, to be honest, just looking at it, but I am really glad to have this in my collection, and at buy one get one free, the value is amazing. I've also heard that this is the best quality that Natasha has, so I'm expecting perfection from these palettes when I finally put them on my eyes. And then the second one I have is the purple blue palette. It also has the white faux, or I guess it's faux leather packaging, and these are the shades here. Again, another really stunning palette that the camera doesn't do justice. You get some really, really beautiful purple shades. And then you get these blues that are kind of more like teal-ish blue colors, but I think that they complement the purple really, really well. And together, I think they're just both going to be really, really stunning. So this is another one I'm looking forward very much to getting on my eyes. It's just, the question is when, right? I need to get these on my eyes because I do want to redo my Natasha Dena rankings, and I want to make sure that I've tried both of these palettes before I actually do a full new rankings video. Next is a palette that I'm honestly very ashamed to say that I have not tried yet because I bought this with the intentions of reviewing it, and it is the Melt Cosmetics Amor y Mariposas palette. This was stunning. Like, look at this. Beautiful. Like, the packaging is really nice and textured. I was so excited when they released this because, you know, Melt is a brand that is very inconsistent according to like reviews from other people. So when they released this palette, which was, you know, new packaging style in this like very big square packaging, it was more shades, you got the round pans. Melt is known for their square/rectangular pans. So when they released this, it was like, oh wow, Melt is doing something new, something extra. You can see that this is not even been touched, not even been swatched. All of the butterflies are still, you know, perfectly embossed. And I still want to do a review of this because in addition to the palette, I did purchase the blush palette as well as some lipsticks. And I really, really want to try this out. So I will be doing a review on the collection It'll be hella late, but it will be coming. Moving right along, because we have a whole ton to get through, is the Love palette from Sydney Grace. I was actually sent this by the brand. Honestly, I was so surprised that they, you know, asked if they could send me some products to try. Like, I love Sydney Grace. Everything else I've purchased from the brand. So when they reached out and asked if they could send me something, I was like, yes, absolutely. I love the Sydney Grace formula. And the Love palette is one that I have been dying to try for such a long time. Like, it is a cool toned eyeshadow palette. I don't have a ton of cool toned palettes in my collection because I think warm eyeshadow looks a lot better on, you know, my complexion. But I think if you do cool tones right, even if you have a warm complexion, it can look really, really stunning. So this has been on my wish list for a very long time, and I'm really glad that I finally have it. I plan to do a video using like 3 of my Sydney Grace palettes just to show you guys my Sydney Grace collection. It's in the works. It's in the works. You know, there's a lot of things that I have planned, but y'all know this is not my full-time job. I have other things I need to do, so we will get there eventually. But the Sydney Grace formula is spectacular. Then I also picked up the Makeup Geek. This is their, oh my Jesus. One of my eyeshadows just fell out completely from the pan. Well, that is unexpected. So this is the empty pan right here. I have the eyeshadow in my hand. Okay, let me see if I can put it back in. So this is the colorful big palette from Makeup Geek. I picked this up at 40% off. You guys know the brand is going out of sale, out of business. The brand is going out of business. I honestly don't know what products they still have left in stock, but they are doing a 40% off sale because everything must go. So if you wanted to try Makeup Geek, now is the time. I'm real mad that this shadow just fell out of its pan because this wasn't cheap. This was actually quite pricey. The original price of that palette is like $126. Yeah, it's $125.99. I remember that. So the fact that it just fell out really kind of bothers me. But we're going to keep going. Okay, next on my list is a palette that has been in my collection for so very, very long. This is the Posh Culture Color Me Carnival palette. This was actually created in collaboration with a makeup artist, a Trinidadian makeup artist. And this entire color story is based off of Carnival. I had to pick this up because y'all know Carnival is my time. As a Trini, you know what Carnival means to Caribbean people. So it's really, really stunning. It's beautiful. I want to play with this. Like, everything about it inspires me. Like, the shade names are like Bacchanal, Plain Mass, Soca, Road March, Panorama. Like, those are all things that I have daily missed in this pandemic. And this reminds me so much of home. Like, the imagery on this is unbelievable. Just saying. Next, I have the Too Faced Cinnamon Swirl palette. I picked this up at Ulta. It was at 50% off sale. Every year, the palettes that Too Faced releases for holiday goes on sale. And it's usually for 50% off. And that's when I pick them up. To be honest, this is a palette I should have never picked up because it looks exactly like all of the other Too Faced palettes. Like, it is a neutral palette with a pop of purple. You know, it's still a neutral palette. This is a basic neutral palette. It smells nice. It smells really nice. It smells good, but I have all of these colors already in the 2 or 3 holiday palettes from prior. I have the pumpkin spice and the gingerbread spice. I didn't need this one. I should have left it in the store. And I've had this in my collection for, I don't even know how long, because I bought this in 2021. I would say like November, December-ish. So it's been in my collection for way too long. Next, we have a TJ Maxx find. This is the Wonderland palette. I had no intentions of picking this up. I actually don't know anything about this palette. It's by the brand IBY Beauty. Never heard of this brand before. And this palette was $6.99. So not super expensive, and the color story was actually quite beautiful. So this is the color story for this IBY palette. It really, really is pretty. I do want to do a video doing a full face of TJ Maxx makeup, and I think that this will be the palette that I use in that video. I definitely didn't need this, especially because it's not a brand that I'm familiar with, and I have no idea what the quality of this is going to be, but It was $7, so I talked myself into it. So going back to BH Cosmetics, I have more. I have the, what is this called? I have the Sweet Shop palettes. I found all of these at TJ Maxx. They were $7.99 a piece, and I was able to pick up every single one from the collection except for the cotton candy. I've already used the green one, which is the pistachio one, so I'm just going to show you guys the 4 that I have left that I still have to use. All I've done is swatch them so far, and there are swatches on my Instagram if you want to see what this looks like on deeper complexions. I 100% recommend picking this up if you see it at TJ Maxx because it is really, really beautiful. So here we have Orange Sorbet. Beautiful orange color story, which makes it perfect for spring. Next we have Cherry on Top. Next we have Bubblegum. That's the blue one, which is possibly my favorite of the two. I love blue eyeshadow. And lastly we have Sugar Cone. This is the neutral palette, and honestly the one that I needed the least, and the one I should have left in the store because it is a basic neutral palette that I have 10 times over. This doesn't add anything special to my collection, and I know that I will reach for this very infrequently because I have other neutral palettes I prefer. Then I have these 2 Smashbox palettes that I picked up at the cosmetics company store. You can see it has that really cool holographic packaging that changes when you move. The first one I have is the Ablaze Eye Palette. It's just a really warm, basic eyeshadow palette. Basic warm neutral eyeshadow palette. That's what that is. And the next one is Desert Eyeshadow Palette. This one is a more green. It's neutral, but with like green olive tones in there. And this one is really, really stunning. I really want to try this one in particular, but this one is not necessarily one that I care to keep in my collection. So next we have a palette that has been in my collection for almost a year. I'm like so ashamed, like very, very ashamed. I picked this up in July of 2021 and it's still here, and it's from Tobago Cosmetics. You guys know I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, so I had to support this brand from my country, and it's the Awi Heritage palette. This is stunning. It's so beautiful. Like, it is so pretty. I just lost a shadow. Oh my gosh. Why are all of my shadows falling out of the pan? I feel cursed. So one of these shadows, look, one of these shadows just fell out. Why, Jesus? But yeah, so this is the Tobago Cosmetics palette. Let's stick the purple back in there. It's really, really pretty. Very, very black girl friendly. All of these shades look really nice and rich, and I can't wait to try this. You know, I love supporting black owned brands, Caribbean owned brands, and this is from Trinidad and Tobago itself, so I had to pick this up. It saddens me that I have not put this on my eyes yet because I've been dying to play with this, but there's just been so much going on. Keeping it moving, another Beauty Bay palette is this Midnight palette. This is one of the palettes that I picked up that I intended to pick up, and then I ended up getting that free green one. So it is the Blue Purple palette. It's the 9-pan palette. If you've seen this collection, you know that it comes with a, I believe, like a 15-pan palette, and then the giant palette. And I wanted something small. I knew that the biggest one was way too big. The middle size one, I still felt like was too many shades. So I felt like this was nice and compact. 9 shades is enough to give you a good amount of versatility, and I absolutely love blue eyeshadow, so this was the one that I went with. I will definitely be playing with this and comparing it to some of my other blue eyeshadow palettes. Moving along is the Haus Labs palette. This is one that I picked up during the BoxyCharm Mega Drop Shop. So if you've watched that haul video, you would have seen this one. Really beautiful. It's a stunning, just neutral eyeshadow palette. My friend Colin loves the Haus Labs formula. I know that this is the old version and they've reformulated, so I'm not really sure how this compares to the new formula, but I know that he loves the old one as well, so I'm really excited to play with Haus Labs. I've never really checked for Lady Gaga's brand, so we're gonna have to give that a try. Next is a new palette that I was really excited to try from a brand that is also a new brand to my collection, and that is the Sugar Drizzle Firefly palette. I purchased this on launch, but I also bought it with the Butterfly palette, which I should have a video of this coming out soon. And it's stunning. It is beautiful. So you do get a couple multi-chromes in here. It is a very blue leaning palette with a little bit of green and some yellow that makes it a little bit more versatile. But I was really excited because the swatches for this had some really interesting duochrome shades, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this performs. From using the Butterfly palette, and I'll just show you guys what this looks like. You've got to be freaking kidding me. This is the third palette today where the eyeshadow has completely fallen out of the pan. I feel like I am cursed. What is happening? Okay, hold please while I repress this. Okay, I'm not sure who walking Obia and me and my eyeshadow palettes right now, but I'm gonna need you to stop because this is the third eyeshadow palette where a shadow has fallen out and I don't understand why. So I'm gonna try to be real careful with this. You can see the gold is cracked, but this is the Butterfly palette. It is a beautiful, beautiful palette. The gold shade definitely was a little bit more crumbly than the others. I'm so sad. So very very Anyway, I really like the look I was able to come up with this palette, and it should be up soon. It will probably be up before, after, I don't know when it'll be up, but if it's up before this one, I'll link it. If it's up after this one, you guys will see me use this palette, and it's really nice quality. I'll give it that. So I'm expecting also really great quality from the Dragonfly palette as well. There's gold sparkles everywhere. Next, moving along, is another palette that I picked up during the BoxyCharm Mega Drop Shop sale. This is the Ayana palette from Natasha Dena. It is a cool toned neutral palette. I think this was either $9 or $12. Very, very affordable. These typically retail for $48, so at that price point, it's a steal. Next is this Major Love palette from Too Faced. I picked this up at the cosmetics company store on a whim, literally on a whim. I was in the store getting some Clinique cleansing balms because they were on sale for 50% off, or 60%. They were on sale for 60% off, so I was picking that up. And then I saw this palette and I was like, oh, this is pretty. So I decided to pick it up. I swatched it. It swatched really well. Typically, Too Faced tin eyeshadows tend to perform really well and tend to be really high quality, so I'm really excited for this. And it's like so cute. It's like that army green with like the pink. It's really, really pretty. So I'm looking forward to trying this. It also seems like a really nice travel palette. Then I have some Nabla palettes. If you have been following the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, you would have seen that Nabla was on sale for 50% off during one of those days in the sale. And I think Nabla is one of the most underrated eyeshadow formulas out there. Most of the Nabla palettes are made in Italy, and they have a very, very unique formula. And what makes their palettes extra unique is that each palette comes with multiple different textures. So you'll get mattes, you'll get some like creamy mattes, you'll get satins, you'll get shimmers, you'll get topper shades, you'll get duochromes. You get so much with these Nabla palettes that I had to add these to my collection because I've really been enjoying the ones that I picked up during their last sale. So the first one I want to show you guys is the Poison Garden palette, and this is the inner packaging. I will say that some of these shades are a little bit lighter than I would have liked it to be, and it definitely leans a little bit more cool toned than I typically go for, but I think that this is going to be a really, really nice palette that just helps me play with cool tones a little bit more, and I feel like even the lighter shades might show up really well on my complexion, or just be really good blending out shades. Next, I picked up two cutie palettes. The first one is the Wild Berry palette, and then the second one is the Nude palette. These, I think the cutie palettes are my favorite palettes to pick up from Nabla. They're so compact. They're little 6-band palettes. They're just absolutely beautiful, and you get everything you need to create a variety of looks, even though it's just 6 shades. So again, here is the Wild Berry palette. Really, really beautiful textured packaging. When you open it up, it is a very sort of pink mauve color story, but it's really, really pretty. I'm noticing that this shade here is a duochrome, and it has a really, really nice flip to it. It's like a pink, blue, Yeah, like a pink blue flip. That's stunning. And then we have the nude palette, which is just really nice, basic packaging, like a light brown packaging. And then when you open it up, this is the color story. Just a neutral palette, but it's really, really pretty. And this black shade looks like it's one of those creamy matte shades. Oh, these all look like creamy mattes. Ooh, I'm really excited to play with this. If you have not tried Nabla Cosmetics, you don't know what you're missing. Again, one of the most underrated eyeshadow formulas out there, in my opinion. Next, I've already showed these palettes in my Boxy Drop Shop haul, but I'm just going to show you guys it again. I picked up 3 of the Viziot palettes. These are like their mini ones. So they're about half, originally they're about half the size of their full-size palettes. If you know the full-size ones, they tend to be like $80, and I believe these are $44. And on the BoxyCharm sale, I was able to get them for, I believe, $18. So I can't pronounce any of these names, so I'm just going to show you guys the first one and then the other two. So this is the first one. It's that really pretty orange color story. Then when you open it up, it's that really, really beautiful warm color story with a little bit of purple in there. Next, we have the Paris Love Letter palette. This is definitely a little bit more spring appropriate. It's a little bit more on the pastel side. Absolutely beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the Mel Thompson palette, but just a little bit lighter. And that's the second one. It's really pretty. And then the last one is the purple palette. This is absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful purple palette. I feel like there are not many true purple palettes that I absolutely love. And this looks like one that I could really, really fall in love with. There's gold eyeshadow all over my seat. I am so sad. This is never going to come out. Okay, so we're coming down to the last set of palettes. These are probably the ones that I'm most excited about. So let's just quickly go through them. So first is the Luna Beauty Moon Spell Volume 2 palette. This was actually one that I won in a giveaway. Colin actually did a giveaway for this palette, and I was the winner. I was super duper excited. I've never tried the Luna Beauty brand. I've never, picked anything up from them, so I am really excited to give this a go. It is a pink purple color story. And I will be very honest, like the camera and pictures don't do this justice, because I was never fully interested in this palette until I saw it in person. I was like, oh, okay, this is what many of me is out there doing. So I'm really excited to give this a try and see how I feel about the formula. And I love that it's like a book, so it has this really cool like sleeve. It's the cutest concept. I really like that. Then I have the Adept Cosmetics and Heather Austin palette. I love the way in which Adept packages their palettes, because it comes so very, very secure. Like all of this stuff, all of this. And once you get through all of the packaging, this is the palette. Like it has the wrapping, everything. Let's see if I can. So satisfying. Okay, and then these are the shades of the Heather Austin and Adept collab palette. It is really stunning. I originally had no intentions of picking this up, but it is a very unique color story, so I'm looking forward to trying this out. You've probably already seen so many swatches, so many reviews of this, so I'm not going to stick too long on this. I know a number of creators have talked about this palette. And Adept does have a lot of like multi-chromes and special shades. Not special shades, but like multi-chromes, duochromes in their palettes. So I think you will really, really enjoy that. Next, I have this KVD Planet Fanatic palette. This is like one of the second palettes I think that the brand released. What's interesting about this palette is that it is 100% recyclable. Like, I want you to see how thin this is. It's super duper thin. Everything in here, like there are no screws, there's no mirror, there's nothing. This makes the packaging quite cheap. I will be very honest. It's not the most luxurious packaging. And even like the stars, it feels very like Claire's makeup. But I do like that it is 100% recyclable. So there's no like metal pans or anything. These are the shades of the palette. It is stunning. I'm not gonna lie, this is beautiful. I do have the first one they released in the cardboard packaging, and I did appreciate the quality of that one as well. These shadows were made in Italy. I just think people are kind of over KVD, so they don't check for the brand, but they actually have some quality shadows, so don't sleep on KVD. Or you know what, go ahead and sleep on them. If you didn't know, this is available at Ulta and the KVD website for 50% off, so it's $22.50 from, I believe, $45. I was able to get 30% off on top of the $22.50, so I paid $15 and I think 10 cents for this palette, which is insane for like a good Italian eyeshadow formula. So if you wanted it, check it out on the KVD website or on Ulta. Next, this is another palette that I received in PR. It's from the brand Pink Crush Cosmetics. It's their Fairy Tale palette. I actually love the quality of the packaging. It does feel like really nice and, you know, luxe for indie. It doesn't feel super cheap at all. And then when you open it up, these are the colors. It's really, really pretty. I have really been getting into indie eyeshadow lately. Like, I have completely forgotten about all of these mainstream brands and have just, you know, been sold by these indie brands. What I love about this one is that you get this either navy blue, navy purple shade that I'm really looking forward to trying. So I will be testing this palette out and letting you guys know how I feel about the formula, and if we have another new indie brand that we should be loving. Okay, 3 more palettes. Next is Blend Bunny's Doll House. I had no intentions of picking this up, but Blend Bunny had like a 25% off sale the other day, and honestly, the Surge palette has become such a dream for me. Like, it's one of my most creative palettes. I always feel super inspired with it, that I decided that I wanted to try out the Dollhouse palette, especially because I know that the brand says that the shimmer formula in this one is a little bit more elevated, so I was like, okay, say less. So I was able to pick this up again at 25% off. It is a little bit more muted than the Surge palette, but I do think that it's quite stunning. I think that you get like some really, really nice shades, and from what I have seen with like Blend Bunnies is that even the lighter shades, which you think might be a little bit problematic for deeper complexions, they actually do work really well. And I see the vision of having those lighter shades as complementary shades so that you can blend out the edges of some of the deeper ones and make it just a little bit more seamless, because at the end of the day, your eyeshadow is all about blending. You know, your look is going to look either very harsh or very seamlessly blended, so having blend out shades is quite important. Okay, then we have the Maritime palette. I picked this up because I saw Cara from Beauty and the Frizz do a review of this, and I was like, well, here we go. Now, this is one of those chunky palettes that comes in like that, you know, briefcase kind of packaging. It reminds me a lot of Jeffree Star, so if you like that kind of packaging, you'll probably like this. It is super thick though. It is a chunky baby. But then when you open it up, this is the color story. This is an all grunge palette. If you don't like deep shades, if you don't like grungy shades, you're not gonna like this. So just bear that in mind. But it does have some really nice duochromes in there that I'm super excited to try. I don't know anything about this brand at all, and this is their 669 palette, so I am really looking forward to giving this a try. I will say that the duochromes or the multichromes in here have a very strong shift in the pan, so I'm looking forward to seeing if that shift translates onto the eye. And when I saw Cara do this and create her looks, she looked amazing, so I have very, very high hopes. And then the last palette is another one that I received in PR from one of my absolute favorite brands. And it was honestly a palette that I was gonna buy regardless if I didn't get it. Like, I did think that I was gonna get this, and then they sent it my way, and I was like, oh, hallelujah, look at Jesus. It is the Nomad, what is this called? Paradise Islands palette. Like, it's so beautiful. I don't even like keeping boxes of palettes, but I really want to keep this box because the island girl in me is like, yes, beautiful. I need this. So it has like the little turtles and everything. I think it's inspired by like Bora Bora and Tahiti. So yes. By the time this video goes up, this will have been released on their Instagram page, so you guys would have seen it. I will be working on doing a first impressions video with like 3 looks, so that you can see it before you buy it. But y'all, isn't this just perfection? It is so freaking pretty. This is also a palette that gives me pastel vibes. I don't know if these are true pastels, but it definitely feels like very pastel, but for my complexion. So I'm excited because I think that these are super bright, colorful, perfect for summertime if you wanted to play in color. And I think that this is just gonna look so nice and rich on deeper complexions. Like, Nomad is one of those brands that I've fallen in love with completely, and I'm always checking for their releases. And I've come to realize that of all the palettes that I have, you know, all of the shades in the palettes work for deeper complexions. Like, oftentimes I'll see a brand or I'll see a palette that a brand releases and I'm like, okay, that first half of the palette I could use, but the second half is a little suspect. But with the ones that I have in my collection, I've been able to use every single shade in that palette, which I absolutely like. I absolutely love. And I really do think that this is gonna be chef's kiss. Okay, this video was way longer than I intended it to be, so I apologize, but it is a testament to how many eyeshadow palettes I have in my collection that I have yet to use. So I know I'm going to be working through it, and I'm also going to be really paring back on what I bring into my collection, because as you see, I have way too many to go through. So I don't need to be adding no more. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed seeing what was in my eyeshadow basket of shame, I would absolutely love if you would hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know a couple of the palettes that you have in your collection that you have not tried. You know, join me. I need some solidarity. And as always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!